what we're doing today is not for just an academic exercise where, like you see more system design projects or sessions, right? Where they say design YouTube, design Netflix, or design a parking lot system, right? Or nobody ends up using them, right? Nobody ends up actually doing anything with that. You don't end up doing anything, and and that's the reason why you kind of lose the interest after a point, correct? So what we're doing today is building a feature for a product called AgriGPT, okay, which is an open source project, okay. So you know it, right? So AgriGPT is developed and maintained by Alumnix AI Labs, which is what we do, okay. Our firm, I'm the founder of this firm. And what is the motivation for us to do this? The motivation is that today AI is at a stage where it can definitely help farmers because of this enhanced capabilities. Okay, so I worked with the Andhra Pradesh government in 2018. Okay, and we try to do similar kind of work through another startup, right? But back then, AI is not like what it is today. Correct? It was very workflow driven. There was some AI here and there, but it was very workflow driven. And in a typical agriculture kind of a setup, it becomes challenging because agriculture has a lot of complexities, right? So you have so many different types of crops. Each crop has so many varieties. There are various geographies. There are various soil types, right? And what kind of capabilities you have in terms of the schemes, in terms of the support system for farmers, everything is very different, correct? If you look at it. So having said that, one of the things I thought is why not try something now that we have it and use that knowledge to build something, right? So that is the goal around why we are doing this. And I made it open source because other people can also contribute, right? And we move faster because as you will soon realize, there are people think building an AI application is more like hitting ChatGPT, getting something out, just putting it into main.py and some service files, and then that's it. And you spin it up, it works and gives a response, right? But there are much more to that, right? A typical chatbot, people think is, it's not a big deal. You have vector database. I know most of you would have known about RAG chatbots and all. So I won't bore you with all that stuff. But what I'm trying to say is, it's not enough to build just something. You have to do a lot of under the hood kind of activities, like determining what is the cost involved if I'm passing it on to, let's say, like 40 lakh farmers, right? It will work if you're local. It will work in production also for 10 users, 20 users, or for your college professors. But if you're talking about 40 lakh farmers using your application, can you sustain it? Can the application sustain it? What is the cost involved, right? What is the latency involved? Can your application sustain it, right? All this becomes important, right? So security may not be a very top-notch kind of a thing out here, right? It's not like a banking application. But the point is, cost is very important, right? For farmers, cost is very important. Latency is also important. Again, it depends. Latency can also be like, again, these are some of the decisions and trade-offs we make as we build a solution, right? And that's the intent of today's exercise. You not only build something, you also design it. You go through the various decisions that we take for actually implementing it for farmers. Okay, so this you will actually see that I will keep posting the progress of these projects also. What did we do today? What came out of it? If nothing came out of it, I'll say nothing came out of it. That's fine, right? But I'm banking on all of you to make something happen by end of the day. So that's why the scope will be limited, but we end up designing it, building it, deploying it. And we also have a corporate farmer, like I said, Babu, who is beside me, and he's going to evaluate our solution at 6 o'clock today. And he's going to see if this is something that works on his farm or not and give the feedback. Okay. And that's the feedback we take forward for building our next project. And those are the learnings we get, right? If he says that I cannot adopt this, it's as good as, again, I won't say it's zero, right? But it's the learning we take out of that to figure out where did we go wrong? What did we miss? Where in the system has there been a gap, right? That's the learning. And that is a production learning that all of you will get out of working on this. Okay, so this is the weekend activity, but I know some of you might know the concepts, some of you might not know the concepts, correct? And I understand that. And in one day, you cannot expect me to teach everyone everything of LangGraph, everything of RAG, and everything, correct? For that, I have another program which I will talk about later, where I have some members in this team who joined today who are members of my cohort, right? So there is a monthly cohort I run where I upskill them on all these concepts, right? So on RAG, on graphs, so all of them have worked on that. So every week I work on a new project. Okay. So last week's project was based on RAG, right? We built 2 RAG services. I'll talk about them. And this week we are building the agentic integration, agentic layer on top of it. Okay. So that's what we're doing. And without much ado, let's get going. Okay. Now, before we start, any questions, anyone? Before we start, does anybody have any questions to ask, anything before, so that what's it, the WhatsApp contact, WhatsApp link, WhatsApp, send that to me. Yeah. So let's get going, guys. Okay. So let's set the ball rolling. So the time frame for this is 11 to 12 is when we do the design, and 12 to rest of the day, 6 o'clock is when we do development. So you need to pick up what you're interested in and contribute to that. Simple as that. Okay. Nothing less, nothing more. I'll tell you where to deploy. I'll tell you what you need. I'm available for any support we need. Okay. So there's a Discord server also, and once is that integrated with that? Yeah. Okay. So let's get going, folks. Okay. So how many of you in this team have come for system design? How many of you have come for system design? Just for system design, or how many of you have come for coding? Anyone here for system design? Like you're preparing for fan companies, man companies? Okay, I think Sai B, Soumya also system design. Okay, okay. Shiva Naga, Shiva Santosh. Okay, great. So all of you guys have come for system design, not for coding, right? Okay, great, no problem. So even Rakesh, yeah? Okay. So you can be a combination of both, right? See, soon you'll realize that every hiring, right, in the industry will have system design, right? In some form or the other. For seniors, it'll be more involved. For juniors, it'll be basic, but you still need to know some of this. Okay. Now, that's great. Okay. So let's get going. Now, let me share my screen. Okay. So the first thing is, once it's integrated with the backend, right? Is it integrated with that ITG, right? With the schemes. Yes. Yeah. So yeah. So let's get going. So the first thing is today the goal is I put it on my LinkedIn too. Let me open my LinkedIn too. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry, what happened? Can you please send the meeting? You enrolled in Luma, right? Yeah. So I didn't get any. You enrolled in Luma? It's already there in Luma only. Yeah, just check in Luma. You should be able to get it, right? Yeah, just 1 second, folks. Some teething issues. Okay, I just sent it out. You might have got a blast right now. Okay, just check it. Okay, folks, let's get started. Okay, so can you see my screen? No, you can't. Okay, cool. So all of you can see my screen, right? So what we're trying to build today is the requirements. Again, I gave it in my LinkedIn post yesterday, right? Yesterday night I put a long post. Okay, I don't know how many of you saw it, but I put the design also. Okay, so this is the use case, guys. Okay, the farmer use case we're trying to solve is farmer asks questions using natural language. Okay, so I'll just put it in Notepad. Okay, and yeah, so this is the requirement. Farmer asks questions in using natural language, English for now, requesting for help with either government schemes or for remediation measures, okay, for pests and diseases, okay, by asking through text, through WhatsApp, okay, or taking a photo on the farm, like he goes to a particular tree or plant or whatever, and it works, okay, and uploads an image through WhatsApp, and there's a multi-modal chatbot where the user can ask in text or with an image and then gets a response back, okay. So that's what we are trying to kind of build. Now I'll show you something over here. So can you see my screen? You can see my screen, right? So this is the chatbot which I'm talking about. You can see, right? So let's say I upload an image and the same image, right? So let's see if I can paste it. So I'm just pasting this image. I'll share this with you as well, right? And this is a WhatsApp bot. I just put it inside this. Let's see if it's working. Right now, the text. Yeah. So can you see this on my screen? Right. Think this. Yeah. So I uploaded an image, right? And this image can be taken on the farm, and I'm getting a response back. Okay. Can you all see this? So this is a chatbot. Now let me ask another question. Tell me about the remedial measures for citrus canker. Okay. So this is all data for Mozambique. Okay. So we built this chatbot for Mozambique. This is what we did last weekend. Okay. And I'll tell you what we need to do right now from your side. So you can see that it's actually giving on WhatsApp. Okay. It's actually giving the responses or remedies for citrus canker just by asking in WhatsApp. Okay. We're asking a question in WhatsApp. We're getting a response back in WhatsApp. We are giving an image in WhatsApp, and we're also getting a response in WhatsApp. I can also give a combination of an image and ask a question also, it will give a response. Okay. So this is the WhatsApp bot, which we have already developed. Okay. Now, the next question is, what are you guys going to do today? Right. So what this does is, this is just taking an input and giving a response, but sometimes the response may not be apt or correct. Okay. So right now, if you see here, I'll show you the architecture of how this works. Okay. And I'll tell you what we need to build now. Okay. So today, how this works is we have a WhatsApp client, which I'm showing over here. Okay. This WhatsApp client is either carrying a text or an image, or a text and image. Okay. And it goes to the API gateway. And this API gateway is, again, API gateway is again the interface between WhatsApp client and our Node.js backend. Once we get it in Node.js, we pass it on to our new service, which we are going to build today, which is going to do some additional capabilities. Okay. This backend API is going to perform some additional work here and get the response back for us. So that's what it's going to do. Okay. Now, what we'll do is, before we get deep into it, a typical approach towards system design, right? Whenever you build a system design, you need to identify what are the functional requirements and what are the non-functional requirements. Okay. So let's just quickly document the functional requirements, and I would like you people to kind of come up with your requirements. You understand what we are trying to do, right? The intent is use WhatsApp bot so that we can have the farmer use it on the field, right? So what are the benefits of WhatsApp bot? Why not a web app? Anyone? So let's make it interactive. I would like people to talk about it. Like, feel free to talk and make it interactive, because I need to see who are the ones who are participating, and I can also help some of you with internships if you are performing well. Okay. So why do we think WhatsApp is better?
Because mostly user can able to interact in a very simple way, because we
Correct.
are making it for farmers. They need
Yes.
something simple.
Yes. Correct. So you bring it to farmers. So farmers, everybody have WhatsApp, right? Nowadays, right? And if you are having one more web app or a mobile app, they have to either install it or figure out how to use it, and it's an extra learning curve, right? WhatsApp is straightforward, right? Simple. So that's the thing about WhatsApp. Okay, great. So functional requirements, user should be able to send text or image or both to explain their require problem. Okay, query, explain the query through WhatsApp. Okay, that's one requirement. What are the other requirements? Can someone tell me what are the other requirements we'll have here?
To describe their problem.
Yeah, that's what they're able to do, right? To send a text or image or both to explain the query through WhatsApp. So the text is able to describe their problem, right? We're already covering it that. So just like I showed you right over here in WhatsApp, I showed you, I am able to ask a question here, or I'm sending an image, both of them. Okay. Now, if you see this, the response which is giving right now, it's not great response. Okay. This is another problem by itself. We'll solve it separately. Okay. Today's goal is to do the architecture, what we're planning using agents. Okay. Using LangGraph primarily. Okay. That's the goal for today. It's not RAG. We're not solving the RAG problem. We're solving the LangGraph agents problem. We're building a solution for that. Now, users should be able to send a text or image. What else are the requirements? Anyone can someone tell me? What are the functional requirements?
Machine should understand the natural language.
Yeah, just one second. Yeah, who's answering this? Can you just tell your name also, please, if you don't mind?
Soumya.
Huh?
Soumya.
Okay, Soumya. Yeah, machine should Understand the natural
Understand
language.
the natural language.
That's a good point. Yeah. Any other requirements? Yeah. Sorry, you were saying something.
Proper formatting in WhatsApp chat. It's not properly formatted.
Properly formatted text output. But why is it not properly formatted generally?
Like it is showing star and like that. It's not.
Oh, okay, okay. You're saying it's showing star. Okay, that's good. That's properly formatted output. Yeah, good. In WhatsApp, right? Okay, great. Shubham is saying properly formatted output because he's saying, this looks ugly, correct? Which is valid. What else?
And there
Uh,
should be support, right, language translation if possible. The app should support multiple languages, right? If somebody wants to use, because farmers may not be able to use English, right, or not all. So if somebody wants to
Yes.
speak their native language.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Vernacular language. Support for vernacular language, right, Ramesh?
Yeah.
Okay. Vernacular language.
User can able to ask some follow-up questions, and the answer should be formatted in that way. Like the
User should.
session should be created firstly, and then if the user is asking, so the AI can able to know that ये तो user पहले से था, ये सब पूछा था, और ये doubt था, ये resolve हुआ है कि नहीं. So
Okay. Basically, you're talking about memory, right?
yes, yes.
Context.
Context. The previous
Context.
context. Okay. Okay. That's point. I added it. Okay. I hope all of you can see my screen, right? Okay. What else? What else are we
Uh,
looking at?
Fallback mechanism when there is any machine will not be able to answer the question. There should be a fallback mechanism for that.
Okay. Fallback mechanism in case the machine is not able to answer a query. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
So can you be more elaborate? What do you mean by fallback here? Like what kind of fallback have you provided?
So if user has asked something which machine is not having in their knowledge base, that can be one reason. Another can be like there is some issue in the backend and there is no response that is generated from the our LLM. So there can be multiple reasons for this.
Correct. Okay. Okay. In case there is some issue, right? Okay.
Yeah, it can be such that if we are not providing a clear image or something like that, the machine will can able to tell that it is not a good image. You can resend it again.
Correct.
That
Okay.
can
System
be.
should request for more information if there is partial or incomplete information.
And also, right, farmer can give a feedback whether they like it answer or not, if possible, so
Okay.
that, right, it can be improved in future. It
Yeah.
will give
Okay.
some data for us, right, for improvement.
Correct. 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 So farmers' feedback should be incorporated for
Okay,
the.
should ask only the farmer related information. Should put guardrails.
Can you come again, please? What do you say last point?
So guardrails like should ask only the farmer related information. Should not give any other information.
Yes, that goes. That is a non-functional requirement, pretty much. If you, I don't know, can we call it a non-functional requirement?
Yeah.
Right. It goes without saying, right, that the information should be relevant to uh, guardrails. Correct. Let's just put guardrails, right? Proper guardrails to prevent hallucination, right? That's what you're saying.
Sir, guardrails implies like it's for data privacy and compliance, no? So, for example, if you are giving any PII or any information containing mobile numbers and such, that's where I think we apply guardrails. No, but we don't require it for this app because they will not be chatting and giving their information. They will be only actually asking about the crop and other information. They don't give their phone
No.
number. They don't give their private or confidential information.
They can, right, Lakshman, people can give and you cannot stop it, right? What if somebody says, this is my Aadhaar card, or they just copy paste a text from somewhere directly? They can, right? So suppose suppose Babu is chatting with his consultant on something and he just copies that whole block and pastes it here. He can, right? Possible.
Okay.
And even if we are providing some government skips, so they can like they can think that मुझे देना भी पड़
Yes,
सकती है.
yes, yes, absolutely. Brilliant. Who said that?
Rahul.
Yeah, Rahul, that's good point. Okay. When user is sending data, right? Especially if there are government schemes, right? Yeah. So Lakshman, in the group, in the cohort group, can you just put in this meeting link, please? I think Vaishnavi wants to join us.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Thank you. Okay, folks, thanks. What else are we looking at? Any other requirements?
Help desk support.
What support?
Help desk support.
Help desk support. Like, how are you planning? How will the system provide help desk support?
If LLM would not give the correct answer, so it would direct to the concerned person. It would directly give a link so that it could answer properly.
Okay, so basically, route to the give the contact numbers
Yes.
in
Yes, sir.
case the system cannot help. Okay, good. Okay, sounds good. So that's also a good point. Yeah.
Notifications and alerts, weather-based alerts, price alerts, schemes alerts.
Sorry, it should give alerts, huh?
Yes.
So what kind of alerts you're saying? No, so that is out of scope, right? See, giving alerts is more like out of scope if you look at it. Here we are saying a farmer wants help, right? We are not saying the farmer wants alerts. That's a different requirement. So let's not dilute the scope.
Vijayendra, should we
limiting the tokens should also consider, because when you are trying to communicate with AI, most of the times people are considering most of the cost usage. So depend upon the query, how much string length output it will define. Based on that, we have to design a system where
if the image quality is very high, right? If it consumes
but
lot of
every
one,
time you cannot expect a paragraph of reply from the AI. Instead of, we can give like step-by-step information, so that the tokenization utilization will be very less, and also RAFL can be very good.
So who's saying this point? Please.
SIVA.
Shiva, okay. Shiva, this particular solution we're building is going to be a subscription-based solution for farmers. Okay, we're not going to charge huge amount of money. Okay, it's going to be very nominal, and the farmers.
I'm not talking about the money. The perspective, what we have to consider is, let's assume 1,000 users are accessing the AI at a time. So based on the questions what they are asking, we need to take into consideration what kind of steps it has to follow. It should not give entire length of paragraph kind of a research paper, rather than providing the step-by-step procedure on how just now you showed us, right, how we can able to reduce that
yes,
interest kind of a thing. So it will be very easy for farmers as well to understand, because every day we don't have that much of time to sit and read out all those research paper kind of entire information.
And also, not only from output perspective, input perspective also, there may be non-functional requirement.
Yeah,
I think if somebody uploads right 4K image, it should not cause too much cost for us as application.
we can limit those by restriction on the upload kind of image file restrictions. We can do that as well.
Yes, that's a valid point. Actually, image, I put in the non-functional requirements. So Shiva and Ramesh, based on what you said, one in the non-functional, I put in two things. Low cost is a high priority. Okay.
Yeah.
Image size should be restricted to save cost, because at the end of the day, again, if you're having a big image, you're also involving costs. But again, if you look at it, not all our images are going to LLMs, because right now we are building a clip-based model, which is deployed on our own server. Okay. So we're not using an LLM for that, but valid point. Okay.
One more thing, should we consider observability, right? Because our application should be highly available, and if some farmer just sends a message, should not get an error message, and should have we should be able to see what is happening in our application, whether they are getting immediate response within our SLAs and availability of the.
So I get it, but it is not a non-functional requirement. Observability as such is not a non-functional requirement. Highly available is a non-functional requirement. Okay. Now observability is the means of achieving this.
Correct.
So I'm not putting it in the functional requirements or non-functional requirements. It's a technical requirement which is used to serve this non-functional requirements of should be highly available. Okay. So we'll use Langsmith for this. Okay. Just FYI. Point taken.
So another thing I would like to add is, like when a user asks a question and the AI responds, so the AI should also be able to come up with some own follow-up questions, so that he doesn't need to think what questions to ask exactly. So it should direct him in a, it should give him a roadmap, like where to ask, what questions to ask next based upon the context.
Yeah, that's a good point. Who's asking this?
Satish Kumar.
Yeah, Satish, that's a good point, right? So I've mentioned it here. System should come up with follow-up questions based on what the user asks. Okay, and so that the user knows how to get more value. Correct? Okay, that's great. That's a valid point.
Security and data privacy.
Sorry?
Security and data privacy.
Security and data privacy. That goes as non-functional requirements, right?
So market prices. Farmer can ask for the particular crop what the market price is.
No, no. So who's asking this? Sorry.
Twinkle,
Sorry, I didn't get that.
twinkle, twinkle.
Yeah, Twinkle. Market prices is out of scope if you look at it, right? Clearly, farmer is asking only for government schemes or support with pests and diseases of the crops. So these are the only two things we are keeping now. Okay, because if you look at market prices and all, again, everything is scope, right? Everything is work. You need to have a service for that. So are we designing for that? No, we are not designing for that. So let's keep it out of scope. So that's why you clearly call out what are the functional requirements, correct? Why do we do this? Because we know exactly what to chase. Okay, this is what we want to chase. Okay.
Do we support weather alert?
Sorry, do we support?
Weather alert. Alert.
Alerts. No, we are not supporting any alerts at the moment. Okay. So because we want to keep it simple. Let's keep the scope small because we cannot complete everything in one day.
Yeah, and one more thing we have to consider is RAG, whether utilization is happening or not. Because as we know, agriculture is a day-to-day improvement area in the entire industry. So is information which it is fetching out, it should be real time rather than pre-trained model.
So what are you saying? You are saying that we need to have RAG or what is
Yeah, we need to have a RAG along with this one. As information, it has to be fetched from the latest information available over the internet rather than the pre-trained model. As you all know, that agriculture is kind of a different every day. New inventions will happen and new kind of diseases will form and new kind of.
So you're saying we should get the data from the internet?
Yeah, that should be a top priority. As I should.
No, correct. I debate that. Who's asking this?
Shiva.
Yeah, Shiva. So the challenge with that, I'll tell you, is you can get the data technically, but what is the reliability, right? What is the reliability of the data? We don't know, right? So end of the day, if you look at it, agriculture as such is kind of a source of livelihood for families, right? In India, right? It's not like we're just building some solution and building it, right? There are only two things: either the farmer relies on it or does not rely. If they don't find trust, they're never going to come back. Even if Sam Altman comes to India and wants you to use it, it's built on trust. So whatever we build should be something we should say it works with at least 90% probable confidence, right? 10%, yeah, we can say it can go here or there, but that we are building something and delivering it, we should have that high level of confidence. So that's why if we don't know, we'll say we don't know. That's fine. If the majority of the questions we don't know, that's fine. But what we know and we say, it's got to be accurate, correct? That's what we're looking at. And that's the goal. Yeah.
But my point would be if you have some kind of citations, let's say we have many universities around in India where they are doing agricultural research. So can we point out and show that information might be available from there? Most of the RAG systems are doing it nowadays. Those kind of information.
The point is, again, who in our if you look at us, right? End of the day, Alumnix AI Labs is the one which is shipping this product and giving it to farmers. Who is actually, this is open source, okay? This whole thing is open source, by the way. So anybody can take this code and build your own if you want. But what I'm trying to say is, who takes the decision or make sure that even if it is showing a university or an agricultural institute or whatever, that is a valid institute or that is a valid source, right? It still becomes a risk, right, Shiva? It still is a risk. I don't know. Maybe there's some spammy site sitting out there sponsored by a fertilizer company, which is trying to just put that. I don't know, right? It's too risky. So that's why for the moment, let's restrict it to RAG. Let's restrict to our knowledge base based on what we have, which is coming from a definitive source. Okay. And when we give citation, we still give citations. Even now, the system will give citations, but it will tell exactly it's come from ICRISAT, or is it coming from IRISAT, or where is it, or is it coming from a farmer who's or an SME, correct?
Yeah.
So that's why we want to keep it restricted, because see, as it is, LLMs have an element of unpredictability, right? We have to solve that problem. Yeah. On top of, if you're adding additional layer of complexity, then it becomes unusable. So let's keep it small, let's keep it simple and get going. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. So what we'll do is, I think we have sufficient number of requirements, unless somebody has a really burning requirement which is not here. Does anybody have any burning requirement which is not here?
Just
In interest of
wondering,
time.
point number 6 and point number 9, I guess, are similar.
So, okay, good observation. Point number 6, point number 9 look similar. That's good. Okay. So I think,
And
yeah, that's
there is no requirement added for government schemes, right? Like if there is a right
yeah,
a subsidy for drip irrigation or some tractor which they want to buy.
yeah, that's a good point. Queries related to, I think we'll add it in the first point. Queries related to government schemes or pests and diseases and their remediation measures. Okay.
And also
Uh,
they should be able to locate, find out their location and only give the relevant documentation. For suppose somebody is in Maharashtra, Pune, and they
Okay.
should not give right government schemes related to Andhra Pradesh.
Okay. Dynamically, share the data based on their location, right?
Correct.
So, okay, sounds like a good requirement. This is actually good. Yeah. Suppose I'm in Pune, whatever I gives is in the context of Pune.
Correct.
What about if you're on this also based on their crop? Okay, based on their crop, would this also matter? Because see, let's say the farmer just goes to a tree and just takes a photo and gives it out. I don't know if it's a lemon tree or it's a Mosami tree because the leaves look similar, right? Now the system gets additional context based on that, right? So how do we get this in WhatsApp? Anyone? Because we are just using WhatsApp, right? So how do we get this in WhatsApp? Because WhatsApp is not going to have location, right?
MCP APIs to integrate.
Huh?
MCP.
I think you have to use phone services, Android or one. So like they provide location service, right? I think we need to.
But WhatsApp will not share with you, right? Because the WhatsApp is the
Sure.
private,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
And I don't think WhatsApp is the last app in the entire planet which will try to doing that, right? Okay. So what do you do?
We can try integrate using MCP.
Yeah, no need of complexity, guys. Okay, think of solutions which are simple always, right? Think of solutions are simple. If you don't know, simply ask the farmer, right?
Yeah.
Where are you located? Ask a question, he gives a response. What's your crop? Ask a question, and you save it in the backend, right? And use that for subsequent context, and that's where memory comes in, right?
Yeah. We can also ask.
Sorry, this guy is asking some question.
And
pin
nowadays,
code.
the main farmers are facing is price related. See, if the other crop is already demand in the market, if they are cultivated, that is again going to loss, right? I think if we include that kind of that will be good.
Sorry, what's the question? Can you repeat that?
See, currently the farmers are more facing the issue is about the price related. Suppose you see, right? Most of the
Sorry
time,
to interrupt. Yeah, sorry to interrupt. Time out. Sorry to interrupt. What's your good name?
the Nagarjuna.
Yeah, Nagarjuna. So I'm sorry to cut you out, but we are not talking about price and all right now. We are only talking about government schemes and pest and diseases. That's the scope today.
No,
Because
I'm talking about not a price. What is the more demand crop should cultivate? So that is the now main problem farmers now facing is that is the only, right? Already demand in the market, they are again cultivated, that is again going to loss. If they give,
yes, again, sorry to cut you out. I agree where you're coming from, but that's a separate project by itself in terms of what recommendation should be done. That's what you're saying, right?
yes.
So crop recommendations is a different project. Like I said, we will do one project every week. Okay, we will have the same meeting every week where we solve one project. Okay, so we actually have 2 farmers in this group who give us requirements and we work on them. Why? Because we build something they want. So WhatsApp client chatbot is initially we built a web app for this, but the farmers who are in this group, they're corporate farmers. Okay, I don't want to disclose the identity. They have Mosambik farms of 10 acres each, around 1,400 trees, correct? Now, if you are interested, anyone is interested, we can actually go to their farms also. They're interested in taking us, okay? But that's a different context. But coming to your point, there are a number of problems that are there. We cannot solve all problems. Today, we are taking only a small point, small problem and solving it, okay? Because keep the scope small. If you took too much, you will not build anything, okay? And like you'll soon discuss, there will be so many things, like so many requirements are here. We have to solve them also. Okay, anybody else? Anything else? We'll close requirements unless somebody still has anything burning. Okay, so in the 12th point, I'm saying collect the information from the farmer if the farmer data is not already in our system. Okay. So we need to capture that information. And how do we capture it? Through WhatsApp. Simple. You'll say, sorry, I don't recognize who you are. Can you share your name? Can you share your crop and your location? That's it. We don't need anything else. Right. And the phone number is unique identifier anyways. Correct. So that way we keep it simple, right? And again, so I'm surprised none of you have talking about voice, right? None of you has mentioned about voice. Does the farmer not want to talk in the language?
Yeah, under natural language understanding, it should be there, right? Under second point.
Yeah, but natural language, so far, again, we've only been talking about text, correct? So we only think the farmer has to type it, right? If we in, let's say, Telugu or anything else, farmer will have to type it, correct?
So you're basically talking about voice to text, like.
Yes. So just put it in a voice and convert it to text, and then of course, rest of the stuff is text, right? System per se is using text, right? But the input for the farmer can be voice, correct? I mentioned it, but I'll keep it out of scope. Okay. So I'm just mentioning it because I just want you to folks to also think of that angle, correct? But yeah, Rahul, I know I'm not putting anyone in the spot because I said text or image, because I know, but still I just wanted to call it out. Is it there? This guy? I think he's in Gen AI. So just a second, guys. I think somebody is requesting for some help. Quick thing. So I think that's the Gen AI enthusiast. This one. Just a second. Okay, so I think we are done here. We are just checking my system. This one. So you can all see my screen now, right? So now let's finalize the functional requirements, guys. Okay, so we said 1 hour for design. I'm just putting my charger. Give me a second. Yeah, so so let's start with the functional requirements, right? Now, one thing about system design is we might come up with a lot of stuff, but we don't build all of this stuff, correct? We don't end up building all of it. We prioritize, right? So even if you're preparing for a fan company, man company, whatever it is, you don't build everything because you have 1 hour to decide, right? So what we'll do here also is something similar. Yeah, please come. Hey, come in. So what we'll do is we'll identify what amongst these are we actually going to end up picking. Okay. So out of all these that we said, let's try to cut it down. Okay. And say exactly what we're going to pick, because I'll just keep this here for reference, but we'll kind of cut down. Okay. Because everything is not doable in one day. So what we'll do is user should be able to send text or image. This is required. I'll just zoom it in a little bit. Okay. You can see it better. Yeah. So you should be able to text or image. This is required. Let's keep it. Machine should understand natural languages. That natural language, I'm scoping it out to English, guys. Okay. For now, let's not complicate life. Okay. Properly formatted output in WhatsApp. This is more like a non-functional requirement to me than a functional requirement. What do you think? Right. So we should say, instead of saying should be formatted properly, should be readable. Right. Output should be properly readable and understandable by understandable. Okay. So I'm putting it out into non-functional requirement because it's not really a functional requirement. Okay. So then support for vernacular languages. This is also out of scope. I'm doing it. Users should be able to ask follow-up questions, memory and context. Memory and context, do we want to have? Yeah, let's have it. Fallback mechanism in case the machine is not able to answer a query or in case there's some issue. Okay. This is a simple one only, right? It's okay. Then we can have system should be able to request more information if this is partial, incomplete, or unclear information. Do you want to have this? Yeah. Let's not have it. Let's simplify it. Let's say I don't know the answer to this. Okay, let's keep it simple now, because I'll tell you the problem with this requirement is if you, again, when you design a system, it looks simple, but when you actually use it in practice, the farmer can type 10 questions at a time. Right? He can, and by the time the first response comes, he's already in the 10th question. Possible? Just like we chat in WhatsApp, right? We say hi, and before the the other guy says hi or bye, you again ask 10 questions. So it will happen. Now, how do we keep a track of which questions response is what? Right? So if you're saying there's a partial, incomplete, or unclear information, we should have a way out of knowing which question we're actually referencing, right? Is it possible to do it? Yes, because we can always send it in a particular format saying for further to your question also, and so this is the response, but added complexity, let's not do it. I'm not removing it, these guys, because you people have put effort in identifying the requirements. They stay here. This is the master list. Okay. So this master list is, I'm putting it in orange. It stays for our subsequent weeks. Okay. Right now, I'm just trying to cut out what is over the board and what we cannot do in one day. Okay. So fallback mechanism is a simple one. Farmers' feedback should be incorporated for the future. Okay. Let's cut it out. Okay. We don't need farmers' feedback. Now we'll just give what we want to give. We already have Babu here who will help us with this. So we have humans today to help us with the input. So let's just keep it simple as the first step. Contact numbers in system cannot help. I think it's also same as what we did before. Responses should be based on subscription taken by the farmer. So this is in addition to response to Shiva. I think he asked a point where he mentioned that it should not be too lengthy. So the way I look at it is, it can be lengthy depending on who wants to pay. Right? Do you want to pay for it? You can get lengthy responses. Else you don't have to. Get a lengthy response, since it's subscription based, right? Now, typically we are looking at a subscription of, let's say, 500 to 1,000 a month, right? And some people say that's also more, but if you look at it per annum, you're looking at 6,000 bucks, right? Now farmers spend lakhs of rupees, and I think 6,000 is not much if they're getting value out of it. Can you save, can you save like 10,000 per annum because of this solution? Then 6,000 makes sense, right? That's how I look at it, right? But again, I'm removing this requirement as well. Okay, for now, let's not complicate. System should come up with follow-up question based on what user should ask. Great requirement, but not today. Okay,
And
later on.
one more suggestion I just want to give out. Like, let's say in a year, sometimes they will do 3 different type of crops. So every time they cannot ask same questions on let's say on January you did one of the crop. Let's assume corn crop, which is having some issue, and next January is having different issue on that same crop. So I think it would be nice if you have a Power BI integration kind of dashboard where all the previous questions which was answered, so that farmer can able to check there and able to retrieve the information back, just to take off load from AI. Because as we all know that again, having those kind of information on Redis cache kind of a thing can reduce cost wise on the infrastructure wise, which I'm expecting. Can that also be done? As a future improvement, not present, but future improvement, when that data is available.
So, sorry, can you just repeat the question in the gist?
Yeah.
Sorry.
My point is let's assume some farmers will do 3 different crops in a year, right? Based on the soil and geographical location.
Yes.
Yeah. So my point is, every time when you are asking the same question, once a year, if you have first crop, the next year you have to do the same crop again on the first quarter itself. So if you have same questions, why should we again go back to AI and ask, rather than having a Power BI platform kind of a thing where we have fetched those information there and you can able to retrieve quickly, so that the cost of infrastructure will also get reduced in a future improvement.
It's a valid point. No. It's a valid point. It actually has relevance in this 0.6. So we are saying we have memory, correct? So for every question farmer asks, there's always memory, and we need to use that memory for answering questions. So your point is very good. If I've used it last January, this January people use that knowledge to give relevant insights. That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
So that's a good point. We can actually put it in 0.5 in this thing. Historical context should be used in answering questions. Okay, so I mentioned this but today we are not doing it. Okay, but of course, when you're talking about memory, we'll still have to kind of store it somewhere and use it. Okay, in the current context, we'll use it. That's fine. Okay. See, the only challenge with that is how much we'll talk through that later. Now, share the relevant data based on the location. So last question is share the relevant data based on the location. Share the relevant information based on the crop. So collect the information from farmer. The data is not there. So we'll do this. Okay, this is in WhatsApp. Right. We need to check in our system where the information is there or not, and then get going. Okay. So good on this. So I think this is what we'll work on. This simple requirements. Let's just focus on this much for now. Okay, for today. Again, you will see that this one also is involving something, but that's okay. Non-functional requirements. I think proper guardrails to prevent hallucination. Okay. Mask PII. I think this we will not do today. Okay. So I'll still put it in orange. I don't want to pick up guardrail, PII and all today. Okay, it's too much. Because how will you do PII? Now again, that's extra prompting and all. Let's move that. Then low cost is high priority. Definitely, image size should be restricted. We are not doing this today. Let it come, whatever, right? That's okay. System should be highly available using observability. Yes, we'll use landscape today. System should be secure. Okay, so yeah, that goes without saying. So we don't have to do anything extra for this. Okay. Next is output should be probably readable, understandable. Okay, that's a valid requirement. Okay, so that's it. So these are the functional, non-functional requirements. We finalize them, and let's move on with the actual design. Okay, so I'll just simplify this. Okay, now if you look at okay, so if you see what I've done is I've already drawn this. Again, in the interest of time, I've already drawn this, and I'll proceed with these requirements in the context of our functional, non-functional requirements. Okay, so that's what you should do in your system design interviews too. Whenever you're building system, what people do is they first start drawing something and they start doing stuff and keep going all and all, but they don't pay attention to what are the functional, non-functional requirements. Okay, so at every stage, whatever your design should be aligned to your functional requirements. Right now, if you see, if you're designing something which is based on this orange, what we did or we didn't want, that means you don't have focus. Okay, you don't have clarity in terms of what you're building. Correct, and that's a red flag for me or for any interviewer. You should stick to your scope. Okay, because you don't have all day. And why is it important also from an interview perspective? Because your time is limited. You just have 1 hour, and the 1 hour you have to design, discuss everything. There'll be follow-up questions, everything. If you are spending enormous of time in just writing this diagram, then you don't have follow-up questions, and interviewers cannot make a judgment. And that goes against you. Okay, so scope and focus, very important. Now that we have the scope, let's start looking at this. So the architecture right now is the WhatsApp client, which I showed you, right? If you see, I showed you this WhatsApp client, this one, right? Remedial measures. So if you see, this is our business number, right? Alumnex, this has Alumnex logo on it. This is our business WhatsApp integration, which we have official. And this is the integration we'll give to farmers. Okay. So this is what we'll give to everyone. Now, this particular WhatsApp, okay, whatever data is coming from here, how does it come to us? Okay. So the data comes to our node backend. Okay. Through an API gateway, it comes to our node backend. Now, how it comes intermediate, don't worry about it. Okay, there is a third-party service, or we have a partnership with a company, and that company is our gateway between WhatsApp and our node backend. Okay, so obviously through API gateway it comes to our node backend. So API gateway is taking care of all that DDoS attacks and all that security and all that, right? Rate limiting and all that. So from the WhatsApp client, I can get text, I can get image, I can get text and image. Okay, so I take all these 3 inputs through API gateway, comes to backend Node.js. Okay. Now, whenever we are getting text is plain text, whenever we're getting image, we get the image in a media URL format. Okay, so so typically, if I were to look at text will be just like just so that have an it will be called the object that will get is message. Okay, so tell me about schemes, right? So this is how you get the data, right? Now, whenever you're getting the data with images, you don't get a base 64 or something from to our node service. What we get is a media URL. Okay, so media URL is a URL which has the location of that image. So it has https://location. Okay, some location, let's say some S3 location, where it is, what it is, my image. Okay, .png. Don't worry about where it is and what it is. You get that image and you can process it. So text and image is naturally a combination of both of them. Now this API gateway comes to the backend. Backend is going to send to this Node.js backend is just like a connector between the WhatsApp and to our system, right? From here we will route to your system, what you guys are building today. Okay. Now some people can argue that why don't we remove this Node.js and replace it with the new backend which we are building today, right? Can someone tell me what's the issue with that? Why don't we have WhatsApp directly routing to the new backend that we have today? Anyone? What's the issue in having WhatsApp client directly routing? Because that's what we're building. Ultimately, this is taking the request. Node.js is just transferring this, whatever we are getting here. It is just transferring the request to our new backend fast API endpoint. What is the issue? I could rather directly transfer to this backend, right? Why is this Node.js in the middle? An extra latency, extra call. Anyone? Anyone? Any quick thoughts?
Might be it will be deciding based on the files we have given. Like for text, it might have a different for image.
No. It is passing it on. That's it. It's not making any decision. This Node.js is not making any decision. Just passing. Okay, he says, I got this parcel. You take the parcel and you do what you want to do. Let me know once you're ready, and I will pass it on back. That's what this Node.js is doing.
it is just a proxy server.
Yes, it's just proxy server, but I have the
We can
flexibility.
put rate limiting or any other security features in this layer, so that all this functionality can be uploaded to.
We can do that in this new backend also, Ramesh, if you want to do, and we can do that backend as well, right? There's nothing stopping us.
Yeah, correct. But it's overload, right? It's the features comes out of the box in some products, and the amount of work we do, right, in functional development.
To avoid some sort of attacks or something like that.
Okay. So I'll make it simple, guys. Okay. The answer is not that. The answer is, if at all I need to give this new backend API, I have to go to the service provider of this WhatsApp integration with our API and tell him to update the API. Okay. So that's a simple answer. There's nothing like I like your answers, but the simple reason why we are doing that, we're still retaining this is because if I change this node, I have to go to my service provider and those guys will say it's a weekend off for them, right? And they will not update it. So we will not get any requests, right? So for the sake of simplicity, right? And the other benefit is we are using a microservices-based architecture, and moment you have this backend API, tomorrow I can make it something else, correct? I can always just switch it because this Node.js is something we control, correct? So what we control should always be under our control without depending on other external systems, okay? So every request comes to Node.js, and Node.js is Node is typically a very good backend for large requests, right? Wherever there is no, it works on the event loop, you know that, right? As long as you don't have IO operations, it's really fast, okay? So I don't know if you people have tried, if you try using Python, PHP versus Node, you'll see that Node can support large number of requests better. But anyway, come back. This backend is what we're building, okay? So we got from Node, we got backend, which is running fast API. And what this is going to do is, it is going to, again, I'm going to discuss the solution, and I'll open it up for questions, okay? So feel free to debate, discuss, and ask whatever questions you have, okay? Let me just explain from my side and then open for questions. So here what we're doing is fast API packed in backend, and I would like you to question things because you'll be building it. Now, it's better to ask now than ask then. So the backend API, which it gets a request like this. User ID is this phone number. So phone number is the primary key. Okay, that's what we get from WhatsApp. We don't get anything else. Then we get a query saying, tell me about mango crops, and then we get processing status. Again, we don't get processing status, but what we are trying to do here is the moment we get the request from the farmer, we get the query, correct? And we get the image, if at all there's an image, okay? So whatever .png, okay? Now, what I'm saying is, today from WhatsApp, you cannot restrict the farmer from asking questions continuously. So he'll say hi, and then he will say, tell me about this, or he uploads an image, or any number of things. And by the time he gets a response, he'll ask 10 questions, correct? So today what I'm saying is, to simplify it, ideally what you should do is, if you're asking 10 questions, you should respond back 10 responses, correct? But to keep it simple, I'm saying I will address only one question at a time, okay? Rest of the 9 questions, I'll say, sorry, processing is happening, please wait, okay? Not a great user experience, but it's okay, okay? So to keep it simple, so what am I saying? First, check a Redis cache, okay? So Redis is the cache we're using. So you people might be knowing. So all the requests are cached. So every request from the farmer comes in, and the farmer will, we put in the cache saying, for this phone number, this query, this image, it's in processing status in progress. Okay. Now, once the remaining requests are coming, if it's already there, we'll decline. Okay. We'll immediately decline saying already in progress. But what we'll do is we'll still log them. Okay. In MongoDB. Okay. Where we're logging all these remaining 9 requests. Even the first request, we'll put it in MongoDB, obviously. First request and all the remaining 9 requests, everything we'll put. But we'll put the status as decline for 9 requests and put them in MongoDB. Why? Because we want to understand what are the requests we are declining. And along the way, do some research and finding out, can we improve along the way? Okay. Now that we are done with this, the one request which we are saying, okay, let's take it through, we pass it through the farm manager service. Okay. And the farm manager service gets back with the input that the user has asked. Okay. So let's say the farmer says, tell me about government schemes. The farm manager service takes that, passes it on to one of these services. Okay. Either the scheme service or the crop service. Okay. So this is how you typically design the system design, right? When you're doing interviews, you design the same way. What's inside it, you don't worry about it right now. Okay. And then these respective services give the response back, and this takes returns back. Okay. Now, some of you might be the question I'll ask all of you people is, should we have these as separate services, or should we have all of this in one single service, all these three? What do you think? Farm manager service, scheme service, and crop service. Can we have it as just one single? Can we have it as just one single service, or should we have separate services? What's the argument? Separate services. Why?
Separate.
A single responsibility principle, it follows. If we want to add any other service also, we can add in on top of it.
Okay.
And it will be separate responsibility for all the services.
Correct. That's right. So it's a single responsibility service. That's one other thing. Second thing is also deployability, right? If you're making any changes on anything, each one is independent of each other. And the third thing is about scalability. Each one can scale as per its own needs. Okay. Got it? So out of all of these, right, which service you think will have will require, protection from fading, right? Which is a vulnerable service. Let's say there are three services, right? I'll put these three services in different color. Let's put it in blue. Okay. So now we have three microservices, right? So which amongst these three microservices, farm manager service, scheme service, or crop service, is prone for abuse or is prone to failure?
Farm manager service.
Correct. Farm manager service. Why?
Because it is handling both the schemes. So whatever the request is coming in, it is handling all of that and giving the farmer the accurate thing that he is asking for.
No, that's okay. It can always manage it, right? So we call the respective service. These services are anyhow handling it, right? There's no load on this.
Yeah, I mean, say like, prompt injection kind of a thing where we can able to fetch the unauthenticated information.
Prompt injection for what?
Yeah,
for what,
if I perform a prompt injection on the input, so it can able to fetch the information which is like, not, we have to show like kind of thing.
No. So the question I'm asking is, as a microservice, right? These are microservices. Which microservice is vulnerable for failure, right? So it is a farm manager service because if there are 40 lakh farmers, right? This backend fast API is continuously going to keep bombarding it, right?
Yeah,
because
at that time you should provide a rate limiting to limit the number of requests per minute, so that you can able to rescue that farm manager service, not to get down.
No, but the point is, you don't want to decline farmers, right? See, from the same farmer, if you're getting multiple requests, you will stop it, right? For which we already are implementing rate limiting using Redis, right? So, but if you're having more farmers, you cannot tell them that, hold on, there are other farmers using it, you wait, correct? That's not a great solution to do. So typically you have you either introduce a queue here, right? Okay. And that's what you would do. Okay. I'm not putting it here, but I'm just mentioning it here. So from the perspective of system design, you need to introduce a queue here because the queue is going to protect this backend service from abuse. Or if there are too many requests, it goes in the queue and it processes based on its availability. Okay. And also the other thing is you can also use a load balancer, which is going to take care of balancing your request to multiple such services. The farm services can be multiple, correct? Multiple instances of this. So you can use one of these things. Okay. Make sense? So again, we're not doing any of this because right now we want to keep it simple, but I'm just letting you know from a system design perspective. So for today's perspective, we are not having thousands of farmers, lakhs of farmers anyway, so we're good. But down the line, when we scale it up, that's what we're going to do. Okay. So now that we have the farm manager service, okay, we have scheme service and crop service. So these are RAG-based services. Okay, their job is only take the request, hit the RAG database, and get it out. Crop services take it, do the RAG service, and get it. Okay. Now, some of the things that I just wanted to cover from a concept perspective. Right now, you have a cache, right? It is cache. So a cache typically has a cache hit and a cache miss. Correct. So cache hit is when what you are looking for in the DB is there. Cache miss is when you don't have it. When you don't have it, you're going to hit the database and fetch it, right? And then update the cache, correct? So basically, that's a caching pattern called cache aside pattern. Okay, what does cache aside say? If I don't find it in the cache, I hit the DB and then I update the cache and I get the data back, right? Why do I update the cache? Because the next time when the request comes, it should be there in the cache, correct? And I don't want that if that request comes even before the first request is serviced, then it'll again hit the MongoDB, correct? So we are saying, hold on, hit the cache and get it back. And that's a cache aside pattern. And we're using a cache eviction as least recently used. Okay, we're saying whatever is least recently used, use that eviction strategy. Okay. Or the other thing is also, if a request is service, then remove it from the cache. Okay, because you don't want it in the DB, right? So, and of course, every time a response comes, you can always update the DB, correct? Saying that for this farmer, this particular request is already processed. Okay. Now I have a question for you guys. Let's say the farmer says hi. Can say. So what will you do? How will you handle this? Because the way I look at it, it's going in and saying, Redis cache, do you have it? No. And then it's going to put it in. And it's saying processing. And the request goes to the farm manager service. Farm manager service says, okay, I got a hi. What does it do? It will say, sorry, it's neither schemes nor crops. And it's going to send a response back and send it back, correct? To me, that sounds counterproductive, right?
We can set an standard response based on the input, because some of the inputs will be standard, right? So we can able to create standard responses back.
So you're saying whatever are the standard keywords which are there, just don't just filter them out, correct?
That's it. And also when they are requesting again, you can directly send them out from Redis cache instead of going back to API.
Okay, so where do we store those standard vocabulary? Do we store it in Redis, or do we keep it in the memory of the backend, or what do we do?
From MongoDB.
You want to keep it on MongoDB?
Yeah.
Persistence for all those vocabulary? But you want to store in MongoDB is again going to be, it's going to reduce time, latency. You're going to hit the DB and get it for every request. It's an overkill, right?
In the backend only, we need to store that some salutations are there. Hi, hello.
Yeah.
Initial greetings can be saved in backend, API backend.
So we don't need to save it in backend. We can store it in the memory, guys. Okay. Frequently mentioned words. Okay. So whatever are the frequently mentioned words, put it in the backend. Memory can hold it, right? Because the servers are also powerful. And how many words are we looking at? Maybe 1,000, 2,000, whatever. It's not a big deal, right? You can put it in a file and just loads it in memory once, and that's it. It always stays, correct? So you don't really need to go ahead and do that. You can keep it in memory. That's fine. Even if you have multiple servers, it's not a huge drain on the memory. So that's one thing. Frequent memory members to prevent hit to the service. Okay, to the farmer service. So end of the day, farm manager service. So end of the day, we want to reduce the number of hits to the farm manager service. Correct. That should always be the goal. Okay. Anything else you see in the problem in the system? Is the system okay? So then I'll talk a little bit about this farm manager system in the backend, a little bit more. But again, any other high level, are we okay on this? You people think we should do something else? So let's look at the function requirements again. Okay. So now let's look at function requirements here. Are all the requirements being solved or not? So some of you are not still pointing out the misses. Okay. I'm still calling out, we have a miss, right? In the scheme of things, we have not captured a few requirements. Can you look at it? So let's look at the function requirements. Why don't you look at the function requirements? Tell me, what have you missed?
Voice to text?
No, we don't have in scope, please. Voice is out of scope. In this 5 requirements, we don't have voice.
Okay. And also image, like how we are going to compare, ways it convert that image into particular, like, pre-trained model, or else.
I'll come to that. That's basically that's encapsulated into the crop service, and I'll come to that. Okay. So that's why using microservices, we'll get there. But look at it from a system architecture perspective. Let's close the architecture and then start building, correct? So from an architecture. Second point.
Security point of view, like, WAF kind of thing, because there might be a chance flood will be happen, like DDoS sort of kind of thing.
What might happen, sorry?
Like WAF, if we can able to enable that to reduce DDoS kind of attacks, if may occur in future, because WhatsApp, again, we cannot restrict some of the, inputs. We don't know, like,
no. Yeah, we already have API gateway for that. It take care of all the DOS, DDoS, everything, right? Rate limiting, everything. We already have an API gateway for that. Okay. So I think we have not implemented this requirement, and nobody's pointing out that if the farmer's information is not there, we need to collect it. Correct?
Yeah.
So we have not factored this in, right? So far we're just saying whatever request comes, we're assuming that it's already there, right? We already know the farmer, correct? But what if we are creating a farmer for the first time? We never had this system before, right? Because we are saying the registration is also happening from here the first time, correct? So how do we do that? What is the solution?
We can provide a form kind of a thing where in WhatsApp we have that information, right, to update the info so that we can collect that information and add out in the MongoDB for future references.
Correct, but then where are we going to store this farmer data? MongoDB?
Yeah, MongoDB itself, because it's a permanent data, like, particular, let's say his location, or else like, what kind of crop he has.
I'm proposing, why don't we store it in MySQL? Because it's structured data, right?
Yeah, you can do that.
Why store it in MongoDB, right? So store your structured data in structured format, right? What's the problem? It's always better, you get data faster, right? And it maintains referential integrity too, because there's less scope for data corruption, right? And schemas enforced pretty much. So let's just have the farmer data in a MySQL or PostgreSQL if you want. So you have the farmer ID, okay? And this ID is whatever you give, and then you have the farmer number, okay, which is again the primary key with WhatsApp, right? And then what else do you have here? You have what is the location? Okay, let's say it's Pune. Okay, and then you have the crop. Let's say it's Mozambique. Okay, so these are the basic information we're collecting as of now. We could collect more, but let's keep it simple now. Okay, now let's say this is, we are storing it here. So you first check, is your farm data already there or not, and then you fetch that and load that into Redis cache, right? That's how you verify it. If it's not there, then you send it back saying, I need your data, and you keep collecting it and pushing back. And all the time you have only one service which is doing all this. Do you think we should have the same service, or should I have a separate service for this? What do you think? What are your thoughts as system designers and architects? What are your thoughts? Ideally, we should have a separate service, correct? Should have a separate service. This is also microservice. Anybody? Any questions on that? So this service should be separate because it is talking to a separate database. Okay. So every microservice typically has its own database, right? Because it is supposed to do a specialized piece of work. So this is supposed to be a user service. Okay. The user service is only responsible for taking the request and checking is it there or not and what's happening and get the data back. Okay. So this is again written in fast API Python. Okay. So here we are saying checks the text if the farmer is registered. Okay, that's all it does, and takes the data. Okay, so what it will do, it will just check if the farmer is there, and then it will respond back, and the farmer will say, okay, my location is Pune, and then this again sends the data back to this, right? But the question again comes, how does this service know if the farmer exists or not? So every time, does it make a call to this user service for every request that it gets? What's the way out? Anyone? What's the solution for this? So let's say I got a request and the farmer is never registered. And how do I know? Because I'm making a call to that number, right? And I say this number is not MySQL. This service is going to, I don't care where this service is getting from. The service is not registered. So we ask the user for the number, for the location and crop, and he gives all those, and we store them. Okay. But the point is, there are 3 communications happening. For every 3 communication, this service has to be hit. And is there a better way of doing it? Anyone? Better way? No better way? Why don't you store the data in Redis, right? So if this guy comes, I make a call to, so first I check Redis. Redis does not have farmer data. And then I make a call to this one, user service. And if user service also says I don't have it, then you go and return back saying, give me your name and location or whatever. And those requests which are coming from the farmer will be sent to the user service to save it. So location first time, crop next time, and then they're saved. And you keep updating the Redis cache also with the data for that farmer, right? Saying you have all the information you need, right? So again, this is the additional layer of complexity which I was talking about when I said you need to gather the additional data for the farmer and do it, right? So do we still want to do it? I think let's go ahead and do it. That's fine. Okay. But I still think there's an element of not so efficiency here, because the backend, this particular API does not know. Again, it makes a Redis cache for getting farmer requests, right? If it does not find it there. So we should probably store in the cache about as to who all of the farmers are also there, right? Actively using, correct? Whoever is actively using, and if it's not there, it's a cache miss. Then you hit the user service to say, I couldn't find that farmer in the Redis cache. Can you help me with this guy? If this says, sorry, I couldn't find it, then the system goes back and creates an entry for that in the Redis cache saying this is an unregistered user. We need more details. So the next time the farmer gives the data, it says that it is unregistered. The users come and it goes and updates that information. But the challenge you'll notice soon is, and these are things that will come, is from WhatsApp when we get a number, a text, how does this particular services backend fast API Python know what it is? Is it that the farmer is responding with a location? Or is it the farmer is asking a question? Or is it the farmer saying what? It doesn't know, right? How will it work then? You understand the problem? See, first time the farmer came and he said, I'm having this problem with my Mozambique crop. Okay, great. Now, the point is we say, do I know you? I don't know you. I'll say, please tell me your name or whatever, this location, because I already have the phone number. I'll say location and crop. So farmer will reply for location, he'll say Pune. Now, how does this, when he responds back, again, it's a new request to the backend, right? Every time it gets a new request from WhatsApp. It doesn't know what it is. How does it know that Pune is a location which the farmer is responding to versus it's a question that the farmer is asking? Because when the WhatsApp says, tell me about your location, the farmer can again get confused and ask another question, right? He can say, sorry, I didn't understand you, but I want to know about pest or disease. How does this know? It won't.
If we first time registers, we should ask for the location.
Correct. So you will ask a location saying, please tell your location, correct? And what are you expecting?
Location.
Pune.
We will have some like a database where all the locations.
But he can give spelling mistake. Maharashtra can have a number of spelling mistakes, right? And second thing is, what is the guarantee he's actually giving you a location only? He can give something else. You not understand the question also. So how will you know? So then you have a bottleneck, right? Because this particular service does not know. What is the answer? Is the intent a location or a crop or a genuine query? This service will not know. It's a naive service. It's a Python backend whose job is simply to say, you give me a question, I'll route it here and there. It's a WhatsApp chatbot. Anybody has a solution for this? I hope all of you understood the problem, right?
You can say only send the current location.
From where?
You can just
On WhatsApp, you can't send current location. Did not allow you. Can you send? Yeah, okay, let's not get into that. Okay. Let's not get into that. Okay. Yeah. Because I don't know if the service provider gives me the location. Today I know he sends text and image. And let's keep the scope to that. So anyone any solutions? How do we resolve this? Because every question that I'm getting, see earlier, before we introduced this requirement, whoever gave this requirement of saying crop and this dynamic thing, life was simple, right? Because every question that came, this one did a simple thing. Take the phone number, check the Redis cache. Is there any outstanding question? Yes or no? If there was an outstanding question, it said yes. Then it declined all subsequent questions which came for that phone number, right? Right? That's how it was. Now somebody said, no, I want to also show more crop, location and all that, and that information based on that. And now we are having additional complexity now because farmer can give those also, and they are not queries. They are metadata. Now this particular thing does not have that decision-making capability, right? So what do we do? There are two options. One is cut down the requirement, right? You want to cut it down? Are you sure? अरे जो है वो बना लेते हैं यार पहले.
In case of schemes only we require this. In case of crops we don't require this.
Why? Same problem will be there. You don't know what the intent is. You don't know Pune is a question or what is scheme or what, you don't know. So how will you decide? So you have to build that intelligence into this. This backend, what is there? You have to build the intelligence.
So we need
again,
a service to classify the intent of the user.
Yeah, you need a service to classify that intent. So do you want to put that? That's one option. Do you want to do that? That is it a response to the, is it a metadata or a query? So first of all, you don't want to decide whether the intent is a scheme intent or a crop intent. Even before that, is it a metadata intent or is it a query intent? So we need to have another service for that. Yes or no? You guys want to build that?
right? It will be, we need to add some other functionality.
Yeah, you don't have another service for that, right? So what we can do is let's just, park it, okay, keep it there. For now, let's keep them aside, okay? Let's, for the sake of simplicity, let's not build this right now, okay? So I'm just cutting it out, okay? Although this is good, let's keep it aside for now, okay? Because we need to add one more service and we're talking about additional stuff. And as it is, you'll see, this WhatsApp bot is not working properly. This is not Citrus Canker, just FYI. This is Gamosis, okay? It is giving the data because it does not know what the user is asking explicitly, right? Today there's a challenge, so we'll come to that. So we need to anyhow make it work, and let's focus on that first, okay? So now, simplifying it, we are saying every request that comes, it checks the Redis cache for that phone number. Is it there or not? If it is there, then check, is it in pending or not? If it is in pending, decline all subsequent requests. If it is not in pending, then add it in pending stage, send the request to farm manager service. If we are saying we have frequently used mentioned words, we immediately respond back saying whatever appropriate response, saying hi means hello or whatever. And otherwise, we send to the farm manager service. The farm manager service device that even then it's a simple thing that guy says hola and hola is not there in us, then it will say sorry, I cannot help you. Right now, that's what it does. Okay, cool. Now, let's, any questions to here, anyone? So we'll take another 10 minutes and we'll close the design. Okay, and then we'll get into requirements, allocation, and get going. Okay, any questions, anyone? All good so far? Okay. Now, what we are saying here is we have this one service. Okay, this one service is calling the scheme service and crop service. Okay, the scheme service is nothing but a RAG backend, which is going to give you any government scheme related question. Okay. So, for example, when I ask this question here, tell me about the remedial measures for citrus canker, or I can also ask in the chatbot right now, tell me about the government schemes for Mosambik crop in Andhra Pradesh. Government agriculture schemes. Okay, so let's ask this question. It's going to give the data back. Okay, how is it getting it? Because there's a service out there which is getting the data for this particular scheme. Can you see this? 35 central and state government schemes for Mosambik farmers. These schemes offer, can you see this? Complete financial support, risk mitigation, technical backdrop. You can also ask, tell me about the PM Kisan, the state support. Okay, it will give you a response. Okay. So again, most of this data is dummy data. We just put it in. Okay. So we'll work with the respective agencies to kind of get this information. Okay. So if you can see this is how clearly it shows, right? 6,000 a year central support, Andhra Pradesh enhancement, Telangana enhancement. But now we don't have region specific here. So then it'll give all the data, right? But again, ideally an agentic AI system is supposed to work together, right? If I immediately the agentic system we're building is going to do, if I give this, it tells me what are schemes are also there. What all help I can take? How can I take help? What can I do to improve? Correct? That's what an agentic AI application does. Okay, difference between AI agents and agentic AI. Now the point is, this is one RAG service. This is one RAG service. They've already been developed. Okay. Now somebody asks a question: how is this image helping? Right. So farm manager service gets a text or image. Correct. So if it is text to text RAG, I think all of you know RAG. Correct. I don't want to get into that. Text to text RAG works. But how is image work? Correct. So what we've done is in this crop service, we built a multi-modal RAG service which uses Clip. Okay, so Clip is basically a model from OpenAI. Okay, and Clip is it stands for contrastive language image pre-training. Okay, it's a multi-modal AI model that learns the relationship between text and images by training on massive base of them, allowing it to perform zero-shot image classification and search without explicit training. Okay, so what it does is it converts them into embeddings, both the text and the images. It takes as input during ingestion. It converts them into vector embeddings in the same embedding space. Okay, so during the ingestion, that's what it does. And at runtime, when the query is asked, it uses the same vector space to respond back. So the input can be a text or an image at runtime, and you'll still be able to answer because it is getting the data from the same vector space. Okay, so that's what we did, and we used the Clip to build this crop service. It's already deployed. Okay, it's working now, although I think it's not working properly because it's not getting the right inputs. Okay, we'll figure it out. So these two services are at your disposal. We already have them. I'll give you the endpoints for them. Okay, so you don't have to build them because you cannot build everything in one day. What I need help is how do we build the rest of the system, right? How do we build this Python endpoint? How do we build this Redis cache and store it? How do we store the data in MongoDB? This farm manager service is something that we have to build again. So this also I'll put it in orange. Scheme service and crop service is already there. Let's not touch them for now. Okay, let's assume they're there and working. Okay, now these are the two things we have to build, and even this orange thing is what we have to build. Redis cache also, whatever. We design the schema and do everything. So on this node and all, we don't have to do. So whatever is in orange is in scope for us to build today. Okay. Now, any questions till now? Good on that, right? So yeah. So what we'll do right now is again, anybody from the system design perspective, whoever has come for system design per se, this is pretty much it for you. This is basically a microservice architecture, and this is how we're building it. Okay. If you have come only for system design, you can probably leave. Okay, it's up to you. But if you want to continue, you can. So what we're going to do next is, and then we'll take a break, is we'll identify all the tasks or issues we need to solve this, to build this. Okay. And then you people can raise your requests and join in. Okay. So again, some of these things, if you look at it, right, this for people who are doing system design, I've not really gone into the depth of a lot of these things, correct? Like how are we orchestrating the line graph within it? How are we building this RAG service exactly, right? We don't get into this. What are the various caching strategies and all? So I cover some, most of these in our cohort. So we have a cohort which runs every week. Earlier, it used to be like a generic kind of program, but now I made it project based. Every week we work on one project. Okay, so just FYI, I just introduce. You can go to alumnus.com, right? And you can click on this. This is the cohort which I run. Okay, so I just wanted to let you know. In this program, it's for 8 weeks. Every week we do one project. Okay, and this is the project we're doing this week. So I teach all the theory, I teach all the concepts, whatever you need to build that project. Okay, so no jazz. So most of the other programs you see, they will teach a lot of stuff, and by the time you actually build a project, it will be 1 month, and then you lost interest. The technology also has changed, and everything has happened. This one is what you need to build. So this week, whoever is there in our cohort, we actually have a few people. Some of them are already in this thing also and will participate. They helped in designing this as well, right? Most of this design has come from them also. So they know under the hood what it takes to build what, where should we build what. And we cover in depth like this land graph and all. We cover the concepts. We cannot cover everything now in 1 hour, right? So the benefit of those who join my cohort is we work 5 days a week, every day from 7 to 8. There's a 1 hour session. And from 11 to 6, I give a lab hours where you can work on whatever you want. So I have GPU access too. So we have AWS G5 2x large machine. So if we are doing fine tuning, if a project requires us to do fine tuning, we'll work on the GPUs. So we get to work on that, right? So just doing some promotion of my cohort if anybody's interested, because what I feel is you cannot build great stuff without having right concepts. Okay. So I just put this in the chat anyways for you guys. Whoever is interested can sign up for the free trial. Okay. You don't have to pay anything upfront. You can sign up for the free trial is there. And you can check it out from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 3 days next week, right? If you like it, you can go. Doesn't cost much either. And this is the curriculum. You can look at some of the projects and look at some of the details. And you can just join the free trial, guys. Nothing to lose. Okay. For 3 days, you see how it works. So I teach everything, right? Even the theory behind transformers, forward propagation, backward propagation, how the whole thing also, right? But again, everything I don't cram into 1 week. We spread it out over multiple weeks, correct? So you learn a little bit of lang chain, lang graph this week. You learn next week when we touch agents, we touch crew AI maybe, correct? So we touch different aspects so that you get a holistic understanding and you're actually solving problems. That's the goal. Okay. So so I will now talk about the lang graph workflow and all these. But again, you might follow, you might not follow. But if people in my cohort know what it is, right, how it works, and they can ask questions, correct? So that will be the missing element for you in this discussion. So you just probably copy from ChatGPT without understanding what you're doing and why you're doing, correct? That's the gap. So again, the other thing is I'm opening up for GPU access for whoever in my cohort so that you guys can work on it also, right? So normally you would have to pay collab or something, but we got credits from AWS, so I said pass it on to people who enroll, right? So yeah, that's what it is. So coming back, okay. Any questions? Anyone till now? Yeah, some questions are there here. So share this design. Yeah, I'll share this design, guys. Okay, so this design also I'll just put it here in chat. Yeah, I'll just put it on chat anyway for those who want to have a look at it by themselves. Okay, so where user upload images will be stored, S3. So whoever is Tessie is saying user upload images will come from the service provider, guys. Okay, so the service provider who is giving us these images from WhatsApp, right? We don't interact with WhatsApp directly. They put it in a shared URL. If you can see, I'm sharing this. They share this URL and give it to us. But good point. We also should save it in our site. Okay, so that's a good point. Whoever has mentioned, and I think we missed it. Let's have it. Okay, so we should we have a separate service for that? For storage? Or this one only storage directly? Crop service can save it? No, I think it's too far. What if something breaks down in between? So what do you folks think? Where should we store this image, folks? Anyone any thoughts? Langgraph. Anybody any thoughts? Should we store it in the backend? Should this backend store this image? Because it's taken from media URL, store it in our S3.
That stops the rate limit, right?
This one?
We can use Cloudinary AI. It stored images and it is very fast to retrieve those
No,
images.
the question is not about what solution you use. The question is, we'll use S3, let's say, and or Cloudinary only, but where do we store it? Which part of the system stores it? Is this backend or is this farm manager service? Which service? So should it be that the farm manager service takes this media URL and then it stores it? Or should it be this backend which stores it? What are your thoughts?
I guess main backend is good to store the.
This only approved
Correct.
requests.
Correct.
So should we say only approved requests?
Yeah, so it should be done here, guys. Okay, you know why? Because this is rate limiting everything, correct? So the farmer is sending 10 images consecutively, right? We are declining the 9 requests, right? We don't need to save those 9 images, right? We save whatever shipment that comes to the farm manager service. So the farm manager service can do that. Okay. Got it? So let's have the farm manager service actually saving this image, right? And why are we saving this image? Although we're getting it from the input source, right? Because the input source can close at any time, right? If they're or decline access, whatever. So we have it for our future analysis because we'll do more machine learning analysis on these images. Is there a common pattern that we're seeing on these images? Down the line, when we make it an agentic system, we can actually say, let's see what all images came in the past, right? And analyze them, right? Use for posterity's sake. So let's do that as well. So we're not having a separate service. This will directly go ahead and store it. The way I look at it, I still think it should be a separate service, which is going to store it. Okay, we'll come to that. But let's say this does it, we'll figure it out. Okay. Okay. Anything else? Yeah, that's a good point. Let's look at the chat again. Anybody, any questions? But the first request comes from Node backend. So Sagar, you're saying the first request comes from Node backend. Yes, Sagar, the request comes from backend. But we are saying when it comes to this backend, Python backend, we don't know whether we are going to handle that request or not. So it is making a decision based on the cache. And if it is not going to save it, we don't need to even save it. It's just unnecessary load for us. Right? Yeah, I hope that answers the question. Yeah. Okay. Others you can ask again. So okay, let's now dive deep into this. Now we have 3 microservices. In fact, 4 microservices. If this is a microservice, right? Is it a microservice or not? Anyone? There's backend here. Is there a microservice? Yes or no? This is not a proxy.
Is it not handling it to the main? Is it?
So what?
The main is LangGraph, is it not?
No, it doesn't matter. Who's saying what is main? It's just a service. Farm manager service is just a service. So what if it has LangGraph? There's nothing main about it. Right. Is this a microservice? Can someone tell me, is this backend, whatever we're having here, is this a microservice? Yes or no? Anyone? Yes? No? Not sure? Yeah. I'm saying it's microservice. Anybody want to challenge it? So what's the definition of microservice, right? So see again, it should be able to be deployed separately, right? And it's scaled separately, right? So here you can have it deployed separately and scaled separately also. Nothing stops you, right? and it's interacting. Typically, every microservice talks to its own database, pretty much, right? So you're also giving the capability to this. So yeah, okay. So end of the day, you need not have everything as a microservice architecture, right? But yeah, that's a separate conversation. Okay, let's get going, guys. Okay, now let's look at this farm. So this is clear, right? Anybody needs more deep dive into this? Backend fast API, what it should do and what shouldn't do. Clear enough, right? Simple fast API backend, right? Next thing is farm managed service. Let's dive deep into this because scheme service and crop service I'm saying is abstracted away from you. It's just an endpoint I'll give you. You don't have to worry about how it's implemented right now. Okay. So again, people in my cohort, they know how it works. They have built it and it's coming from them. So that's a benefit. If you join my cohort, again, just letting you know. But again, this farm manager service, if I see here, I'm talking about the depth of this. Okay. So again, in the interest of time, I cannot get into the complete details of LangChain versus LangGraph versus LangSmith and all that right now. I'm assuming you know it, and we'll go forward from there. So we have the fast API endpoint called process user endpoint input, which is what this is microservice is going to expose. Okay, another word using LangGraph, but it still exposes an endpoint, correct, which is process user input. And then what it takes is text or an image. You can see this. It takes a text or an image. Now here we are saying image base 64, but it's not image base 64. It's media URL. Okay, and we are saying the media URL is none here, but they can be a media URL also. Now you need to take care of saving it to S3, which is what is in the diagram here. And you need to make a decision in terms of which service it should call based on the intent of the user, correct? And it calls the respective service and gets a response back and returns back to this service, and this service sends it back, and this service again stores it in MongoDB and sends the response back. Okay, cool. Now again in LangGraph, what are we doing? How are we designing the architecture? We are defining the state graph. Again, the farmer state over here using type-dip, where we are storing what is the text. Image base 64 is again image URL, right? Intent is what is that, because what is the intent? Again, another day we should still get it. What are the entities and service response? Now we have again various node functions. This is not like Node.js functions. These are the nodes, correct? In LangGraph. So supervisor node is one node, scheme node is one node, crop node is the other one. And then we have a routing function. This routing function is used for routing between various nodes. So we build the workflow graph using state graph, okay? And then we assign these three nodes, and then we set the entry point to the supervisor. Now supervisor again has an add conditional edges, which is going to route based on route decision, and it's going to call the respective scheme node or crop node based on dynamic intent. And then once the scheme node or crop node is done, it ends and the workflow returns, right? So typically you invoke the entire workflow using app.invoke, and it gets in and gets a response back. Okay, so that's how it works at a high level from outside, right? Again, internally, each of these nodes will call this endpoints for this crop service or scheme service. Got it? Right? Internally, that's how it works, and that's how this whole thing works in LangGraph. Okay, so those who are building this, you need to make a note of this and build it like this simply for now, for today. Okay, because at the end of the day, it's not about building; we also have to deploy it. Okay, somebody has to end up deploy it also. Okay, so any questions here? So I've intentionally kept it simple so that we have time till 5:30 to build it and deploy it. So as and how we are building something, we keep deploying it so that it keeps moving. Okay. Any questions? So these two microservices already deployed. We need to deploy this and this two more.
So where are you going to store this chat transcript, the entire conversation?